Hello, I'm Seth Johnson with Land to House. So, welcome back to part 2 of our tiny house front door build. So last time, if you missed it, we took these 2x6s and we drilled a hole through all of them 3 different times and then installed a metal threaded rod through here and wood glue inside all the cracks, and this thing is solid and rather heavy as well. So in the second part here, we're going to be installing our deadbolt and front door handle. Then on the bottom of the door, I'm going to be using a piece here that's going to go on like this, kind of making the bottom of the door. And then on the top, it's going to have a shelf, because this is a 2-part door. I guess a Dutch door is what it's called. So let's get started on the second half. So the first thing I'm going to do here is measure our door. And I've got 28.5. So I'm going to measure here. Mark this at 28.5. Might be nice if I moved out of the way so you could see. Okay, and now I'll cut this down to the size of our door. You probably get tired of watching me use this saw, but it sure is a nice one. For the next step, I want to be able to use these 3-inch screws to hold this to the other part of the door. And obviously they're not going to reach. So what I'm going to do is use this 3/8" wood bit to bore down maybe about halfway or so, and then use another drill bit to make a pilot hole so that these screws will work for this. So I'm just going to start making some holes in here. Well, I wanted to use this board, this thickness, to add that much more height to my door, but I don't have any drill bits that'll reach in here, and my drill doesn't have a bit that'll be able to drive that screw. So I'm just going to rip this down about 1.5 inches here, and hopefully that'll be enough to get the work done that we need. Well, I got that cut down, so now I'm going to take this drill bit and prepare for my screws to go in here. I really don't want the door to crack whenever I screw in all of these 3-inch screws. That's why I'm drilling these pilot holes. And so I think I'm going to drill some more pilot holes into the actual door once I have the location of all these screws placed in here. So I put pilot holes in this part here. Now let's just plop a lot of our waterproof wood glue on here. Okay. I hope 1 bead of that is enough. Now, oops. Okay. Got enough of this out here to get us started. Okay. It's very late tonight, like about 12 o'clock right now. I don't have a lot of time to do this kind of project, so kind of sleepy. That seems very nice. Got some of the glue to bubble out there. So now let's work on drilling the hole for our knobs. So I've got my paperwork out for installing the deadbolt and handle set. And what it says to do is match up this piece of paper on the edge of the door and then drill pilot holes in here at the halfway mark of your door. Okay, and then the same deal for up here. So I've got this adjustable hole saw here that will allow me to match up the circles here on my piece of paper. So I'm just gonna make sure my pilot hole is put in here real quick. So now I'm going to loosen this, and I want to be able to match up these holes here. That should do it right there. Hopefully. Whew. Smoke. So apparently it's best that once you get your pilot drill bit through the other side, you should flip it over and finish drilling from this side, and that will hopefully prevent any popping through of the wood. So let's see how that works. Well, we got somewhere all right. See if I can get this out. Well, there's the problem. This is my dad's old hole saw, and the drill bit broke off on that last one, so I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to get this started here without that. I may have to go purchase an actual hole saw, stationary one, to get it to work, because without that pilot screw can't do a whole lot. Well, that wasn't cool. Broke off my hole saw in there, so I'll go get a another one from the store tomorrow, and we'll finish this part up. But now we can install the shelf on the top here. So I'm going to do the same kind of pilot hole as we did with the bottom, so as not to split the wood. So just as with our other side, I'm gonna plop a big healthy glob of glue down here. Okay. And take our top here. Match up these two screws. Whoops. Okay. This side set in. Oops. Okay, nice. Now get all these middle ones set in here. I was able to find a 2 1/8 inch hole saw from my local hardware store, and this is the kind that just has to have a drill bit in it. But the problem is I don't have one that's the right size. It's a 1/4 inch, but we'll just have to use this really long one that we have. Just tighten this set screw down. Alright, and let's get back to putting our doorknob in. Alright, let's see if this works. There we go. Next, I'm supposed to use a 1-inch bit to get the spot in here, but that does not leave much room for air, does it? So, let's see if I can get this fairly straight in here. I suppose that's good. A little bit of blowout back there, but I think it's alright. Now, I found the only chisel we own. It's sharp enough to maybe cut through some hot butter or something. But I'm going to take the faceplate here and match out on here where the door is, or the handle is going to be. Outline it. Whoops. Okay, now we're going to try and chisel this out a little bit. Alright, let's see here. It says only about 3 millimeters. Yeah, very sharp chisel. I believe I'm going to take a razor blade here and cut down so that it won't cut out too much of this. Hopefully. Well, that took a little bit of work, but managed to get this in here nice and flush. So now we're ready for our deadbolt. So the outside is going to be over here. So we want this right here to go on this side. And then this piece will be on the inside. Let's see what we got here. So I just put the screws back here, tightening this down a little bit, or all the way I should say. I got this lock combination for about 40 bucks, I believe. I thought it looked nice for a rustic door. I don't want my door splitting here, so I'm going to put a 1/16 pilot hole for my screws in here. Okay, and now just need to install these screws in here. Make sure this still works. Oh yeah. Nice. And let's see if the key works here. No. Oh, yep, there it is. Well, maybe a little tight there. Okay, I think it's gonna work, just needs a little bit of elbow grease. Alright, moving along now. I took the time to get this piece cut out here. Now, you want your sloped piece to go towards the outside of your door. And then, that means your key, of course, will go on the outside. Got both of those on. Very pretty. So the last thing to do is I'm going to use another 2x6 here and cut out a 1 3/4 inch strip that's going to go up here on the top, and that's going to act as our brake for the top part of the door. So let's rip that down now. Okay, got that cut down. So next what I'm going to do is use a drill bit and put some pilot holes in here for my screws that are going to hold this in here. So let's find where this thing looks nice. About there, I suppose. Hold this in place. Okay. Very nice. I'm going to plop some of our wood glue on here. Okay. Then flip this up. Hopefully I'll be able to match up our holes again. I think I'll put one in here. Woo. Yeah, I'm missing pretty bad. Ooh. Let's try that one instead. That's better. Okay. I think I'll get one more in here and then clamp it down. And there we have it. The bottom part of our Dutch door is finished. Have to paint it next, but at least all the hardware and framing is done. Now, if you'll notice over here, there's an extra bit. I'm actually going to be planing down part of that to fit inside of the door frame, because it's going to be I think 29 inches at the top and 28.5 at the bottom. So I'm going to have to do some work on that. Well, that concludes part 2 of our tiny house door build. This thing is pretty solid and looks nice. I can't wait to get it painted and installed. So I think on the next video we'll be painting this. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Seth Johnson with Land A House, and I will see you next time. Bye.